So in chapter 6, I was really struck about this idea of what it means to be a father, and it's sort of been something we've had to think about the entire story with thinking about Joseph, a kid, as a father, and both when you think about that truth, which is possible in real life for an eighth grader to have a kid, it's like it feels like impossible to say that, and yet in this book we're confronted with the fact that that can happen, and with this idea of Joseph really wanting to see Jupiter. I find myself really wanting them to be united, but then I wonder if he could provide for her needs, or I'm just thinking about that paradox or contradiction that I both really want Jupiter and Joseph together, and then I also see how that's really complicated, and is that really good for Joseph's future, and he's so young, how could he care for her? So we've been thinking about that the entire story, and then here we see Mr. Brooke, we see Joseph's father. So what do you guys think? What does it mean to be a father? What do you expect of fathers or father figures, or a parent? And I think there's so much evidence for Mr. Brooke not being a good dad. There's evidence that maybe there was some sort of abuse, whether it was physical or emotional, when Mr. Brooke touches Joseph and he flinches. I'm suspect of Mr. Brooke wanting to take a drive with his son. Would he actually have kidnapped him? He's so quick to anger, and he's judgmental of Jack's family, saying that they're just in it for the money. But there was a part of the story that really made me have some empathy for Mr. Brooke. And it was at a scary moment where it seemed like Mr. Brooke was going to take it out on Jack. But Mr. Brooke says, "How'd you like it if someone came to take your boy away, huh? How would you like it? I bet you'd do whatever it took to get him back. I bet you would." Mr. Brooke laughed again and then walked over to me and took my shoulder. "Don't touch him," said Joseph quickly. So in that moment I was like, oh my God, Mr. Brooke and Joseph are so similar. They would do anything to get to their kid. And I have come to think that the world isn't so like black and white, right or wrong. So I do think it's possible for Mr. Brooke to be in it for the money, to not know the value of college because he never went to college, to be a product of his circumstances. I wonder what Mr. Brooke's dad was like. I can both think that maybe he's not fulfilling the duties of a dad, but then also loving his son, even if he doesn't know how to love him, just doing anything to get him back. So I wondered if that was a moment where Mr. Brooke was actually, he really wanted to be what a dad should be, but maybe he just can't for some reason. So I want to know what you guys all think about what it means to be a dad or a parent, and I want to know if you think we have evidence to judge Mr. Brooke harshly as a poor father.